Welcome back to The Man in the Middle. I'm your host, Bill West. You know, I was there in '77. Uh, I wasn't exactly there in May. In fact, I saw the new Godzilla that movie that came out the same time as Star Wars, and my 12-year-old self has no regrets. I didn't see Star Wars until uh, right after my birthday in June. By that time, Star Wars mania had swept the nation, and I was, a latecomer to it. Uh, I spent all my money, or all the money I received for my birthday, at the concession stand. Uh, got the poster, uh, some newspaper, Star Wars newspaper, and the program for the movie. Uh, also bought it, I believe, it for my sisters who went with me that day. My parents went there; they thought it was crazy. So my sisters and I, we all sat in. Lights went down, and the infamous crawl started. This was before Episode 4. All we knew it was a Star Wars. So the crawl started. Uh, it panned down, and all of a sudden, this uh, starship comes screaming out from the top of the. Hello, Buttercup. Uh, Screaming from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, firing lasers, and all of a sudden this other starship comes and keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming, lasers back and forth, and I don't think I blinked for the next 2 hours. uh, I, I walked out of the theater, totally changed. I was a moderate Star Trek fan. I was a big kaiju fan. I saw Godzilla before I saw Star Wars, so that tells me where I was at that time. But you know, it literally changed my life. Uh, before that, I wasn't say I was very into sports, but I did practice field hockey, flag football, hockey. Did I say hockey already? Uh, T-ball, martial arts. But after that, I started getting into art, writing, building models. You probably heard it 100 times from different fans by now. But Star Wars changed my life. And then I think that year I saw Star Wars once a weekend, 52 times that first year. And then we moved, and then we moved again. In 1980, I was in Strathmore, California. Uh, my friends and I, we ditched school that day. Yeah. Interesting thing is that we were pulled over on the way to see The Empire Strikes Back. Fortunately, the police let us go. I was the youngest at the time. I was 16. No, I can't be right. I was 15. Hard to believe. But we ditched. We didn't make the first showing that day, but we did make the second showing, opening day. Once again, the lines were just incredible. But this time, everybody knew what we were going to see. We were going to see Star Wars, and once again, this time, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And that was new. And my friends and I, once again, sat there, theater, uh, clapped when, applauded when things went well, booed when things went bad. It was just, it was like a concert experience. Everybody bonded through the feeling of the movie. And then I went to a couple years later, right after graduation. or not right after graduation, the year after graduation, uh, May 1983. We I was first in line for Return of the Jedi. I was in a homemade Imperial officer's uniform, and everybody kept telling me that they knew there was a Vader cosplayer there, and I should bow to him when I did, or when he opened the door, and I did. It's sort of, well, he played along with it. Uh, so, Return of the Jedi came and went. I actually, snuck in and saw it for a second time, and that was it. That was the beginning of the Dark Ages. Uh, we still had the comic books for a while. There was, I think, Star Wars Ewoks, the Star Wars droids on the TV, but everything stopped at that point. Uh, my love for Star Wars didn't. If whatever books I could find, whatever comics I found, I bought and kept. Posters, costumes. Hello again. But and that was the beginning of the dead period. Marvel lost the license. The cartoons quit showing, and there really, besides the Han Solo novels, Lando Calrissian novels, there really wasn't anything else for Star Wars for a long time. I want to say the mid to late 90s. Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire came out, and totally, there it was again. New Star Wars for the first time in a long time. And then there were rumors, and rumors led to facts. It wasn't like we didn't have the internet, or not much of an internet at the time. I remember being able to finally download the Phantom Menace trailer. It took me hours. I can't remember, and I think it was like midnight, 2 a.m. when it finally downloaded, and I was able to see the first new Star Wars footage since '83. And oh my god, maybe it was just because it was the first new footage, but I was so happy. And a couple of weeks out, I was able to get my tickets for the midnight showing, and it was a great first Star Wars movie in 16 years. So, came home afterwards. I was so jazzed, couldn't sleep. And things changed. Got a divorce, and my friends, when Attack of the Clones came out, they were like, "Are you gonna be? Are you coming?" And I said, "No, I can't." It was a really tight time for me. Right after the divorce, and they were like, "Nah, you're coming with." And so they got me a ticket, and once again, we all sat there in the theater, and was it a great movie? No, might be one of, I don't know. It was good for what it was, but the movie came and it went. Somewhere around there, uh, the Star Wars novel program picked up. not Del Rey, Dark Horse got the comics, or yeah, got the comics license, and so we were getting our fill. Playmates were coming out with a new Star Wars toy line. Not many model kits, but there were some. 3 years later, I was married again. Married, two sons. Happiest time of my life, and took my two sons to the Revenge of the Sith midnight premiere. Went with a couple of friends from a local Star Trek chapter. Had a good time. And then we believed at that time that was it. That, that was it with Star Wars. Lucas was making noises that he was done. And later, after the trilogy was over and people saying that Lucas raped my childhood, it was pretty much over with. So, books were still being published, comics, and then, but, Star Wars fandom pretty much went to sleep. Until the news came that Disney was buying Star Wars. A lot of people didn't care for it. I thought it was the greatest thing to ever happen, because if anybody could understand Star Wars, I thought it would be Disney. And then Phantom Menace came out, but not the Phantom Menace. Totally blanking on that one. The Force Awakens. My wife and daughter and I went to see it the day before showing with the 501st and the Mandalorian mercenary costume group, and it was a small theater. And, not too many people. You would have thought that with costuming groups, people would have shown up in costume. Not too many did. I was there in my Imperial black, and I'll tell you, a lot of people thought The Force Awakens was a remake of Episode 4, A New Hope. It might have been, but I thought the story was serviceable. I enjoyed seeing the stormtrooper who left the First Order, that Finn, the swashbuckling rebellion rebel pilot Poe, and the scrap girl Rey. Also interesting. I'm always with the bad guys, so I enjoyed seeing Darth Vader's grandson, General Hux, and the new, who we thought was going to be the Emperor, or the Emperor's stand-in. Little did we know. After that, we were treated to Rogue One, which is probably my second favorite Star Wars movie behind The Empire Strikes Back. I believe that Rogue One fits perfectly in the continuum. There are a couple of problems, but I enjoy it, and to this day, if I have a choice, I pretty much put that one on over everything else. It's still not my favorite, but it's the one that's easiest to view. And then The Last Jedi hit, and everything went to hell. My wife and daughter liked The Last Jedi. One of my stepsons really likes The Last Jedi. I have problems with it. The running out, the the chase sequence, the 2-hour chase sequence, I have a problem with. When you could have just jumped a Star Destroyer or two in front of the Rebel fleet, and that was it. That would have been it. I love the effects, the supremacy, the Super Star Destroyer analog was really cool. The Holdo effect was cool. The sequence with Yoda and Luke was wonderful. The lightsaber battle in the throne room was interesting, but just watching it, I found it interesting. But there are many YouTube videos saying about how bad it was. So, but yeah, it's up to you. I didn't like that they killed Luke. That was one of my big problems with it. I understood why they did what they did. I wouldn't have done it if I was going to kill Luke. I would have done it in Episode 9. And then Episode 9 came along, and Episode 9 was a mishmash of storylines that never really seemed to come together. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to ruin it. I do like Ian McDiarmid returning as Palpatine. Palpatine is my hero, so being able to see him again was wonderful. But and the effects were great. The last battle over Exegol was very cool. Was very cool to see. It was nice to see the Ghost again, and their Wedge was cool to see. I loved Lando returning. But, as a closer to the saga, I wish they would have come up with something better, or maybe made a trilogy, because there was just too much packed into this movie that was dropped. They would start a storyline and then drop it, or they would pick up a storyline from nowhere and you would scratch your head wondering where it came from. But yeah, what the big I totally skipped over it, but the big Star Wars surprise before Rise of Skywalker was The Mandalorian. It takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Mandalorians have gone underground, and it seems to be only one Mandalorian in public at a time. The show was a resounding success for Disney, and my wife, some of these things, I consider success on how much my wife enjoys it. She's not much into. She was never much into Star Wars until I met her. She doesn't understand a lot of the lore like I do. So if she gets into it and wants to see it again, or wants to talk about it, then to me that's a success. And so we watched it twice. In fact, she was off across the country when it first came out. I watched it, and she watched it there, and then we watched it together. And she would ask questions, and I would answer the lore. And so to me, that's a success. Where are we now? We're waiting for Mandalorian Season 2. We're waiting for some news on a movie from Star Wars. That's it. I don't know if you heard it, but that's my dog Sweetie, who was sighing in the background. If you liked what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Once again, this is Bill. I'm Man in the Middle.